Hello, my name is Blue Orange 22. I'm a men's rights activist, and I'd really like to speak to you about the new Netflix series Adolescence. It's one of the most popular series ever made, and it's talking about misogyny in young boys and the growing misogynistic radicalization in young men, such as the Red Pill, such as the Manosphere, incels, and Andrew Tate's. And I need to tell you that as a men's rights activist, we've seen this coming for a long time. We've been trying to warn the world about what's going on for a long time and how this built into what it built into. Well, for starters, did you ask them? Like, did you ask those men and boys, like, what are they going through? What are their experiences? Have they ever experienced sexism? Do they feel they've experienced misandry? Have they been discriminated against for being a man or a boy? Have they heard hateful language? Have they received toxic language towards them? Have they received toxic messages towards them? I mean, what's their been experience been? And if they turn to feminism or turn to X, Y, and Z, what kind of help did they get? What reception did they get? Who actually did help you the most? Did you ever stop and ask these boys what their experience has been being male? How have they been treated for it? And how has that affected them at school, at work? What has their experience actually been? Has anyone ever actually stopped to ask that question? Now, many of them end up, myself included, in the men's rights movement. Because when I was first getting into this conversation, having these questions, I'd go to different spaces. I'd go to feminist spaces, socialist spaces, all different kinds of spaces, conservative spaces. And the community that by far seemed like the most fair-minded and the one that would treat me with the most respect and the one that seemed to actually believe in equality for all was the men's rights movement. And I saw the men's rights movement was a movement that was addressing the concerns affecting men and boys, but without hating women, without calling for misogyny, without calling for discrimination against women. And I just couldn't understand why it would get so much hate because I would spend time in MRA spaces. I would see men and women alike there. I saw misogyny was absolutely forbidden in the men's rights space, and I just saw equality for all, just so happening to focus on issues that men and boys are affected by that don't get as much attention, if any, by pretty much anywhere else in the media or anywhere else at all, except very, very negative articles and very, very negative articles saying that we're alt-right, manosphere, incel, misogynistic, all this stuff. Like, wait a minute, this isn't what we're like at all. So articles like this. And this is obviously an article from the show. The articles I was reading 10 years ago would have not been from the show, but it's an example of the kind of articles that I saw then and an example of the kind of articles guys are still seeing now. Jamie's plight becomes a poignant study of the nightmarish influence of the so-called manosphere, that pernicious online world of red pills, truth groups, and the 80-20 rule, which posits that 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. It's a shadowy sphere populated by alphas, incels, men's rights activists, and pickup artists. But the thing is, men's rights activists don't believe those extreme things. We don't have radical views. We are not misogynistic. We do not support hatred against women. But when these young boys see that we are getting lumped in with everyone else, and they see that you could be moderate and completely for equality and for fairness, and you still get attacked, you still get called misogynistic, you still get called an incel, how is that going to affect how they see the entire conversation? If a man is called misogynistic or an incel for supporting equality, then those words, those insults, misogynistic incel, lose all meaning to them. Because if it's just used against any time someone has criticism for a feminist group for saying something that they don't agree with, or for supporting a man's homeless shelter, or for talking about boys' education gap, and all of a sudden you attack them for it, what effect is that going to have? So one of the problems I would also, and I'm going to finish with this, I hate to make this an anti-feminist video, and it's not. And if you watch my very first video on this channel ever, it's called Feminist versus MRAs, What is the Middle Ground? Which is always what I want this channel to be about. Is I don't think that the men's movement or the conversation on men's issues and what men and boys go through should be controlled or dictated by a women's movement. So again, before you write an article on how concerning it is that these young men are being rationalized, being radicalized, maybe ask them, well, why? What's happening to you? What's your experience? What's your experience? What are you hearing? When you say something, what kind of response do you get? What messaging do you get? And maybe instead of lecturing, try and actually listen. Anyway, I'm Blue Orange 22. Thanks for watching.